Hi guys, welcome back to the flip side of normal. On the regular, I don't really watch the news just because it's so negative and so sad. And more recently, it's just a bunch of political nonsense about what everything that Trump is doing wrong. And I just really don't care to hear it. But then a story comes along, sort of piques my interest and catches my attention. And so then what I do is I follow that story. I follow along with that story. And the most recent one that has caught my attention, it's been in the media lately, is a story of this 18-year-old young man who back in 2014 committed suicide via carbon monoxide poisoning in the Kmart parking lot in a little town in Massachusetts. And the reason why it's making headlines again here 3 years later is because the prosecution in that state has now decided to bring charges up on his then girlfriend of manslaughter in regards to his death. So I sort of wanted to talk about it, and I'm hoping that my viewers will be interactive with this and leave me some comments to let me know how they feel. But what I wanted to talk about was the whole issue of, can we charge somebody with somebody else's suicide? And I'm not talking about your assisted suicide, like, the cancer patient that's in a lot of pain and just wants to be out of pain and die, and then the nurse comes in and gives them just a little bit of extra morphine to make them go to sleep and not wake up again. Those are a completely different case. I'm talking about your more typical suicides, such as in this case. Now, the reason why they're saying they've decided to bring charges up on this young lady is because they're saying that on the night that he committed suicide, apparently she was communicating with him all the way up until his death, sort of coaching him along, telling him how to do it, what to do, and things like that. They've only had a few of the text messages that were exchanged between them on the news, saying things like, you're going to do this, and it's going to make you happy. You're going to be free. You need to do this to be happy. Your parents will understand that you did it to be happy. If you don't do it, you're going to be thinking about it for the rest of your life, and it'll make you miserable. At one point, they're saying that the young man got out of the truck because the carbon monoxide started working, and he got scared. And she coached him back into the truck, texting him things like, you need to get back in the truck, you need to do this, and things like that. The other part of it they're saying is she was telling him how to do it, kind of sort of giving him instructions. I know one text message said something about it's only going to take 20 to 30 minutes and it'll be pain-free. Another one was telling him, like, literally how to do it. Put the tube through the window, duct tape it up, and then put shirts up there so that the carbon monoxide stays in the cab and doesn't leak out. But the dilemma that I face is trying to go from a moral standpoint to a legal standpoint. Do I think that what this young lady did was morally wrong? Absolutely 100%. Without a doubt, that whole thing is wrong. From calling him and talking him into it, to talking him back into that truck, to not calling somebody to come help him, or alerting somebody, or trying to talk him out of it. I think that she was morally wrong. Do I think that she was legally wrong? That's where it gets tricky, because see, in order to prove manslaughter, one of the biggest elements of manslaughter is you have to prove causation, which means you have to prove that this young lady ultimately caused this young man's death. Well, we already know the circumstances of his death. This young man went and he did all of this on his own. He got the engine, he put it into the bed of his own truck. He put that tube from the engine to his cab all by himself. He got backed into that car after he got out of it. She didn't help matters by coaching him, but did she cause his death? No. Legally, no, she didn't. And see, the problem with a case like this is if you're going to start charging people with somebody else's suicide, where do we draw the line to say, yes, you did, and no, you didn't? What are the parameters? Because if you want to talk about other people causing somebody else's suicide, then let's talk about Joe Blow, who goes down the road and shoots himself in the head because Susie Smith over here broke his heart and won't talk to him and doesn't love him anymore, and he can't handle the grief, and so he blows his head off. Do we now charge Susie Smith for him committing suicide? You know, maybe he leaves a note that says, I'm doing this because I can't live without Susie and she won't talk to me and she doesn't love me anymore, so goodbye, cruel world. Can we charge Susie with his death? Because while she didn't talk to him that night, and it's kind of a different scenario, it's sort of the same. She didn't hold the gun to his head. She didn't pull the trigger. And that's the same in this case. This young lady was not present at the site where he committed suicide. She did not hold that door shut. She did not, you know, hold him down and make him do this. This young man was alone. She was on the phone. At any point in time, he had that free will to get out of that truck, to turn the engine off, to take that tube out of his truck, to not even do it in the first place. He had that option and he had that choice. Just like Joe Blow had the choice not to pull the trigger. So the problem becomes, where do you draw the line between who is responsible for suicide and who is not? The other issue you face in a case like this is now you're teetering on freedom of speech. What did she say that was so wrong? That was legally wrong? I'm not speaking morally, again, because this is in a court system, so this is strictly legal. This has nothing to do with morals. This is strictly legal. So from a legal standpoint, in any of the text messages that I've read from the news, and now we don't have them all because the news only releases so much, and all the text messages that they're releasing, she never threatened him. She never crossed the line of freedom of speech. She should have talked him out of it. She should have called somebody, absolutely. But freedom of speech. She can say whatever she wants as long as it's not a threat and as long as it's not causing harm. It didn't cause the harm. So you're on that line. You know, some of what the prosecution is saying she should be held responsible for is because they're saying that this young man, he was already in a fragile mental state and she took advantage of it. What we do know about this young man, the details that I do know from that has been released to the news, is that a year prior to this day, that he died, he tried to commit suicide. He had already been diagnosed with depression before this. His parents got divorced some years before that. I guess sent him into depression. He had already been diagnosed. He had already been suicidal in the past. It's just that, you know, everybody surrounding him, his friends, his family, all thought that he was better, which anybody who's had depression knows that depression doesn't ever truly go away. You just sort of start feeling better one day, but you're not healed. You're not cured. You still have it. But everybody thought that he was better. They thought that he was happy. They said he seemed happy on the outside. You know, he was graduating high school. He was starting college. He was, you know, really like going somewhere in his life. So they didn't really, it really shocked them. They didn't really see this coming, which is the case 9 times out of 10 in a suicide case. Because you don't see it coming. They don't advertise it. Somebody who's intent on dying and who really wants to die is not going to tell you so that you can stop them. They're just going to go ahead and do it. So it doesn't surprise me that everybody says that they were so shocked. That's normally what happens. But back to the case at hand. So do I think that we have a legal case here? No. I think that this young man was mentally unstable. Absolutely. Did she take advantage of it? I don't know that we can really say she took advantage of him. I don't know that we can really say that she talked this young man into doing something that he already hadn't thought about previously. Because remember, he had already been suicidal at one point in his life. So, legally speaking, I think that we cannot charge this young lady. I think that she shouldn't be in court today. His parents, on the other hand, have a pretty good case for a civil lawsuit. If they are really intent on holding somebody responsible, I mean, it wouldn't be criminal, but it would be civilly. But legally speaking, for a criminal case, it's just not there for me. I just don't see it. I see that we're walking a really thin line now with charging other people with somebody else's suicide. But what do you think? You know, do you think that she should be brought up on criminal charges? And if you do, please tell me why you think that. I'm open to debates. I'm the first one that will spark a controversial debate. And I say debate and not argument. And there is a big difference. And before we start this, I just think that you guys ought to maybe check the differences on Google because there's a huge difference. I'm not going to explain it to you. You can look it up yourself, but the only rules that I have is we need to be respectful of each other. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's entitled to opinion. Again, I'm talking about free speech here. So no personal attacks, no name calling, no hate, nothing like that. State your opinion, state your reasoning why, and you can state rebuttals and whatever in a respectful manner. Those are my only rules, but I really want to hear from you guys. I really want to know, am I crazy in this? Am I alone in thinking that this isn't a legal matter? This is more of a moral matter? Or even a civil matter? Like I said, his parents have a pretty good civil lawsuit, in my opinion. So tell me what you think. Leave comments. Please interact. Please like, share, comment, follow, everything. Subscribe to my channel. Pass me around the internet because I really want to see. I love seeing things from other people's point of view. So I would really love to know what everybody else feels on this. And if you want to research this story, the young man's name is Conrad Roy, and the young lady's name is Michelle Carter, and they're from a little town in Massachusetts, or he is. I'm not sure where she's from because some sources are saying she was an online girlfriend, and some sources are just saying girlfriend. So I'm not sure the actual relationship there, and we all know how the news is. So please, let me know how you feel, and let me know what you think about the matter. Should this young lady be brought up on criminal charges for this young man's suicide? Until next time.